Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the building code.
Hey.
I'm Charley Burtwhistle.
And I'm Zach Matovich.
I think we can keep that intro.
I like that. They don't have a choice. If we don't shoot it, that's what they get.
True. This is the one we have.
As we creep to more and more episodes, they just get more and more unraveled. You know, what's the 100 mark going to be like for us?
Gosh, we got to be getting close. No, we're not. We're like 120.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, we are recording with a guest today. That's very exciting. The world doesn't revolve around Zach and I. Zach, who do we have today?
Today we have Chris Fox out of Manhattan, Kansas, Fox Home Innovations. Chris and I have met numerous times, actually, so I'm excited to catch up. Actually, as recently as this last few weeks when we talked to him in front of our entire company.
Yeah.
About kind of just their perspective about Buildertrend. So now we get a little more safe zone. Can edit it, not live.
Yeah, that was actually very cool. I hate to give Zach compliments, but he did a really good job. He interviewed Chris in front of, like you said, our entire company. Everyone tuned in. It was a proud co-host moment to watch him fly solo and absolutely kill it. And he was able to because Chris, I feel like, was very easy to talk to.
Yes.
We had another customer on there too. They both did great. But no, I'm excited to get a chance to talk to Chris and share some of the insights and ideas and feedback that he had for Buildertrend with all of our listeners as well. So without further ado, let's get Chris in here.
Hey, Chris, welcome to the Building Code. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here, guys. Good to see you guys as well.
So this is the first time being on the podcast for you, but I was actually just watching you 2 days ago. You did you and Zach did a live with customer presentation for our full company. So I was tuning into that one. So very excited to get a chance to officially meet you, Chris. But for those of our listeners that were not watching that, obviously, because they don't work at Buildertrend, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, great. So I have a company called Fox Home Innovations. We are down in Manhattan, Kansas, so just south of Buildertrend headquarters by about 2.5 hours. So definitely in the Midwest here. Small community, about 60,000 people when college is in session. Kind of the town is known for Kansas State University. It's kind of the big hubbub, brings everybody here, that sort of thing. But been in business going on about 14 years now. We are a design build firm. So we focus on residential design and construction, primarily remodels. We'll do a new home probably once a year. We'll do a large custom or something like that, but do approximately 65 to 70 projects a year. Typically average project size anywhere from about $100,000 to $150,000 on average is kind of what we see. So my business partner, Matt, he runs the kind of overall operations and acts as our general manager. And then my position is in the sales side of things. So I kind of help lead the front end team when it comes to sales and estimating, and focus on all of the lead gen and some of the front end marketing activities with our marketing person. That's kind of where I live on a day-to-day basis, is the sales role. So yeah, we have about 25 people on staff. That's changing every day, it seems like, in this world, but several open positions now, hoping we can get those filled. But we strive to self-perform all the work that we do. That's kind of what our big goal is, big vision is move towards self-performing close to 90% of all the work that we produce, just to create that sense of control around the project, as well as control the end client experience. That's what we're really big focused on.
Chris, before we go too deep, I want to run down after how this interview goes versus the other one. I think there's a variable here that might distract us a little bit.
Okay.
Me?
Yeah, it's Charley. Just saying.
Thanks.
We like to give each other a hard time here on the Building Code. Love the Buildertrend shirt, by the way, if you're watching on...
that was actually accident. I was mowing earlier and I went and changed and I grabbed my thing and my wife's like, do you realize you're wearing a Buildertrend shirt for your thing? I'm like, oh, look at that.
Look at that. On brand.
They're tri-blend. They're super comfy thow.
They are.
That's a good one. They just...
Super comfy.
Yeah, perfect mowing shirt, really. You and I have got a lot of FaceTime lately with not only the interview. We met when you were in Omaha for Buildertrend University, and you'd been before. So how was the second time?
It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. A lot of changes. I was actually, I've got another Buildertrend shirt somewhere. It says Buildertrend University. What does it say? Landmark 2018 or something like that. So we were the very, very first Buildertrend University, or BTU, as you guys call it now. And seeing the diverse change between now and then has been awesome. So a lot of fun. It was really, really cool to dive in to see, what's new and all that good stuff. Kind of a funny story. When we first came out there, it was about 6 months after you guys moved into the building you guys are currently in. And it was not done yet at all. And there was still kind of stuff going on everywhere, and everybody's trying to figure it out. And you guys were kind of growing into the space, but it seemed like it was like you're a hot dog in the hallway type of thing, where you're just like, there's a little bit of people and then all this room, to expand. And then now seeing you guys now this past spring, where you guys are like busting to the seams there, it's pretty cool to see. So
that's hilarious, because we're so full in my department that I akin it to like a school cafeteria that ran out of room. We like desks and like by hallways now and stuff. I was like, what happened? I missed the hot dog days, Chris.
Yeah.
Right.
We're booming. That's awesome. And I think you've said that you're planning to come up with your team just to come visit as well, right?
Yeah. So we run EOS as our lively blood, the way that we run our business, that type of thing. So we do an annual and a quarterly, every quarter basically with our leadership team. And so we were actually just discussing this just this past week. I was like trying to, leverage the relationships that I've created and with you guys and said, hey, can we get a conference room for a couple of days? Can we come hang out? And your team, Brisha, was like, well, absolutely, definitely, let's do it. So probably this fall, I'm hoping to bring the four of us up and just kind of spend a couple days, maybe a day with some of you guys' team doing some stuff, and we can do some really cool collab marketing stuff is what I'm hoping. And then also do our offsite during that time too. So,
gosh, that's awesome, Chris. I mean, you're just gonna have to maybe get a desk at Buildertrend here sooner or later.
Builder in residence.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I like that.
I'd love to hear. It's fun hearing about your first time at BTU, and I remember those office days as well. I'd love to hear how your onboarding journey has gone with Buildertrend, from where you first kind of decided we need a software solution to now, just rolling up and renting out the boardroom for a couple of days and being an absolute all-star.
It's kind of funny. So we were actually CodeConstruct users beforehand, back in 2013, I think is what it was, 2012, 2013, right around there. And we were a very, very young company in its infancy. The one thing we recognized, being young, right, at that time, 21 years old, so looking at like the future and understanding like, hey, if we're going to be in this industry, technology needs to be a part of it, and there's got to be something there, there's got to be that connection there, and let's just recognize the fact that it's around us all the time, it's changing all the time, and we gotta work with it, not against it. As many of the other construction trades in our industry at that point in time was looking at it as. And so we tried CodeConstruct for a little bit there, and we were a company of 4 people. We were very small, and it seemed to work great, but we didn't have processes. We weren't really good at holding each other accountable. We didn't even have job descriptions. We were just getting work done, just
right.
In the pictures every day. And we recognized as we grew really quick, and the next thing you know, 2000, I think we became a member. Was it 2014, Zach, is what we looked at?
Yeah. Yep.
It's fall October of 2014. Anyways, I think we looked at it at that time, and we were up to like 8 to 10 employees, and we recognized that like no one's really doing what they're supposed to do on the technology side, and it's kind of a mess. And so we need to kind of a reset. So we looked at that point in time and said, okay, if there's a time to change anything, let's do it now. And at that point in time, that's when Buildertrend was really getting a lot of traction, a lot of growth. And so we were like, you know what, let's just start from scratch. Buildertrend's where we want to be. Let's make that switch now. Let's let that kind of create some buy-in for the rest of the team and saying, hey, this is new. So forget everything else that we did in the past. Forget all the pain points and the things we were and we're supposed to be doing and not doing, that sort of thing. And here's everybody's chance to start from straight one. Let's really, really get simple. And that's kind of where it started. We started with the schedule side of things, not necessarily at the project level, but the global level, because we were growing so quickly, and we were like, looking at all these projects, and one of this idea of, doing what we say we're going to do. And, what's biggest complaint I hear from customers is just, hey, I don't know what's happening, or I don't know when my project's going to start, and this and that. And if we don't know that issue ourselves, then that's, we can't tell you what it is, because trust me, if we knew, we'd tell you.
Right.
But so we started out very simple, using that as a schedule base. We actually created a job called crew layout, and every color is a different employee and a different job, and it all lays out. We still use that today. We use every other function of it, but our crew layout job, so to speak, is paramount to us in the way that we use it. So that was like the first piece of it. And then as we started kind of growing, we just started taking bite-sized chunks of it, with doing the selection side of things, doing the sales and proposals. That was a big step for me, because that's primarily my function. So that was a huge step, getting out of QuickBooks and just jumping into the CRM and using the proposal side of things, to where we get to the point where we're doing, full cost accounting, cost of completes, job costing, and all of that stuff, as kind of as we are today. So it's definitely been a journey. It's been a fun journey. It's been a hard work, ethic kind of putting into it to get there, but it's been really cool. So
has it been worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think, like I was telling you on our deal the other day, like, describe the value of what Buildertrend, the software, does for you and your team. And I tell everybody this when we onboard them, because we spend like a half day talking about Buildertrend and walking through it and onboarding our new team members and this and that. And the way that I always tell people is, like, you got to recognize, like, this may feel different than you. It may feel like hard to grasp and figure out where things are at, but understand, like, if we didn't have this, we would have to have at least another full-time employee on staff just to keep our stuff straight. And so because of that, that's tremendous value right there. So
that's what I love to hear.
Yeah, I was going to say, Zach, that has to be music to your ears.
It is.
Hearing the way he talks about onboarding Buildertrend.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been embarrassing if it was like, "What's the value?" in front of the whole company. We're like, we're not really sure. I'm like, am I digging that one out? Like, I don't know. It's the time you saved.
I was
right.
I am kind of constantly rooting for Zach's downfall. So I was hoping that you were just going to cancel your subscription live right in front of 1,000 employees. And Zach.
That was funny, because when I first got on, I was like, so what's the biggest joke that we can play on your team? Like, like, how do we, like, we got all this captured audience here. It's like, here's an opportunity I'm feeling. And Megan's like, no, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, because you had Longo in the room with you, right? Yeah,
if she was sitting across from me, it would have been like, so are we going to talk about what you said to me at the karaoke bar or something? And I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Good times.
Yeah. We got to keep it, Well, I'll tell you the real story after we're not being recorded, right?
There you go.
I do like to ask, so you go to Buildertrend University, and like, what's a tangible takeaway that, for your last session, that you guys came back to your office and was like, all right, we're going to improve this or change this?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we recognize, so the team that went up was myself, our new salesperson, our estimator. And so the three of us kind of sit on kind of a team together in sales and estimating, and naturally coming to the estimating course or focus track, so to speak, is kind of to learn what's new and different. There was a lot of things that have changed since I, went through and learned that type of stuff, years ago. Changed for the better for sure. But one of the things that was kind of stuck out to us was, like, we were doing all the estimating or proposal side, right? And what we thought things were going to cost, an estimate. And then we were, when that became a tangible project or a sold project, we would transfer to all the estimating side. What we didn't realize is that our estimator was like, I don't believe any of this. I'm deleting it all and starting over. And so it was myself and Shane, our sales guy, and Gino were sitting we went to a really nice dinner before everything got started. And Gino's telling us this, and Shane and I are just like, what? You really, like, you're just deleting it all and starting over? Like, that's the opportunity. Like, how do we make that not happen? And so that's a lens we looked through the entire time we were there. So fast forward to now, and we've got new cost codes. We tripled the amount of cost codes that we created and got those. Those are being implemented, I think, literally today or next week. I mean, we're right there on that. We brainstormed cost catalogs. So we created a giant list of cost catalogs and set them apart by different brackets of projects and different types of projects and that type of thing. And that's going to kind of lead us into templates. So kind of by the end of the summer, our goal is to have all those cost catalogs built out. There'll probably be close to, 60, 70, 80 of those cost catalogs that will make up several different proposal templates, with the goal of, when we sell a project or do a proposal for a project, we're using things that the estimator bought into and had a part of creating, so that when he gets it, he's like, yeah, that makes sense. And here's a small tweak here, here's a small tweak here, and that type of thing. But the idea of bringing sales proposals and estimating closer together is going to help us in our client experience. It's also going to make us more efficient. So that's kind of our big takeaway. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal for sure. It's a lot of work that's going to go into it. But if we weren't there and present in BTU, we probably would have never not only had the motivation to make that change, but also just been aware to be able to see that path in front of us. So
ambitious too, the big stuff, went and tripled your cost codes. That's pretty monumental. Was that through kind of your one-on-one session or through a class? Like what kind
it was more or less just the three of us.
Yeah.
Hey, look what we learned today. It's like, hey, we need to do this, because we kind of took in the 80-20 rule as we've grown. Mm-hmm. And since we self-perform a lot of work, our biggest cost code errors come to around labor cost codes, because they're clocking in the field and this and that. And they might do, a deck in the morning and then frame a window in the afternoon. And how is that accurate and this and that? So he just was really simple about it. I said, okay, if you have a hammer and bags on and you're outside, it's exterior framing labor. If you're inside, it's interior. We're just very, very simple in that way. And that worked for a really, really good point in time. And from a job costing standpoint, it's still accurate, right? Mm-hmm. So labor in, labor out, labor estimated versus labor actual, it's all there. But what we were missing is just that empirical data to look back on and say, hey, on average, it takes us, 4 hours to do this task or whatever the case may be. And so we know as we go in the future, we're going to need that. So this is kind of the setup to make that happen. So most of the cost codes that we added were really just labor codes. So there's going to be some accountability and a lot of training and handing holding, and probably a 6 to 9 month process down the road until we can look at all that in our system and realize that that's really actually working. But we knew we need to kind of make that shift. So.
Well, it sounds like, that's maybe the third or fourth example already, this interview, how you just talk about how your company is constantly innovating. And I was just clicking around in your account in our CRM too. And every new product we roll out or looking for people to beta, it seems like you guys are always, kind of chomping at the bit to get first access to that. How do you manage, and I'd love to get your perspective and maybe advice to listeners on how you manage continuing progress and continuing to work and get work done, but also continually improving, tripling cost codes, for example, or asking about a Buildertrend financing program. Or I think you mentioned on the call the other day, you're in the beta for the new CRM integrations and things like that. How do you find time to do both, right? Improve and maintain.
It's tough. Yeah, it's so tough. I think that's probably where our biggest challenge is capacity. And it's really a capacity at all levels, and we've done really good over the years of maximizing our resources and primarily maximizing our human capital. So we look at these strategic positions as we start bringing out, especially those middle management layers. That's where we're trying to gain a lot of capacity for the things that you're talking about, right? So right now we just hired a production manager. So someone that is not my business partner, he's gonna see all over general, GM over the entire company, but yet have someone focus on just production all the time. So that 50% of their job, they could still be in the field coaching their team, this and that. But then there's this other capacity to, dive into how do we do the daily logs better? How do we do scheduling better? And then the next thing opposed to the projects that we're doing for customers, we're also starting to incorporate projects for ourselves, right? Just as, just like your guys' roll out your products, same type of thing. It's like a product owner in essence, right? It's a lend that from the tech world, so to speak, is just taking it and saying, hey, our goal this year is to accomplish this task, and this is the vehicle to get there. We just don't know where the way is and the roadmap to that. So creating capacity to do that. So we're doing that by adding positions, to do that, but then also prioritizing, right? So recognizing, like, we were just brought a new salesperson on who is a fantastic people person. He's going to do extremely well, but he doesn't have construction knowledge. And so how do we bridge the gap for him to be able to make, a construction proposal on cost and scope of work for, $100,000 kitchen without that level of experience of been there, done it, right? And so we recognize, cost catalog, small its and bits pieces, that's the tool for making that happen. And so right now, that salesperson, he is primarily doing decks and bathrooms. So our cost catalog started with that, right? And so that gives those tools. So some of the integrations and the work that you're talking about is coming out of necessity, right? And just creating those tools as we grow. So some of them can be a little bit more reactive than proactive. But that just comes down to the capacity and prioritization, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's tough. I think, like, every new feature or things that comes out, like, I would love to just go down a rabbit hole and kind of figure this out. Like some of the custom reporting stuff that you're doing, I just got a call with Brett, and like all I want to do is just like spend a week on some of that stuff. But it's not a priority right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the fall and winter time, when I know that there's going to be capacity there, then that's something we'll kind of look at. But it's all that balance, which I guess there's nothing ever is in balance, but that we sure try.
Well, I think, that kind of leads into my next question too, is we always like to ask people who have made it. What do you tell someone that's maybe, flashback to 2015 when you were getting started with Buildertrend? How do you make it? Like, part of what I'm hearing is, like, you do have to prioritize. It's important to have a plan, to be disciplined. What else would you tell a new user or someone who's trying to establish processes? Like, how do you stay focused? What's that process look like?
Yeah, I think it's really, really tough. But what kind of drives me is I'm a person of, I like to have control. And when I don't have control, or I don't have the information, I just don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. And that's really applied to, like, really anything in my life. And it's one of the biggest reasons why I probably started a business, is because I wanted to be able to create an experience for others and myself that I would have control, and I understand it, and what I expected to happen. And that comes back down to me as a person and just what's important to me. And Buildertrend has kind of filled that gap for me in a way. I will tell you that the most rewarding thing that I have, or the way that I look and get a quick snippet of my business, is through Buildertrend. So from an owner level, I can be anywhere in the world, and my activity screen, whatever that looks like, I got to call whatever that name of it is. Now I'm going to pull it up because it's going to run it. The activity feed. Yeah. Seeing that on every single thing, what customer is paid, what this is, what invoice was done, what change order signed off on, what all that stuff is. It's like it just makes you feel safe, right? And from a business level, the risks that we're taking, having all that in one spot that I can scroll back to, is extremely important. And we've made some changes where daily logs are not just like what happened on site. Every customer interaction gets a daily log, every single touch point, every single meeting point. So I'm a salesperson and I see, like, hey, I sold the Smith project or whatever the case may be. I know I can follow that through without having a conversation, without having a meeting. Anytime plans are updated, I can check out plans, and I can stay so in tune with my business without spending so much time and resource away from my team members. It's everything. And so if I would say, like, if that's the carrot that I would dangle out to any new users, that's the thing I'd say. Look at this, because this is what you want. but recognize the only way that works is if you go all in. If you're just coming and saying, I'm into this, and you put the work ethic into it, and recognize it probably will take you 2 years to get to that point. But it's worth it. And so that's kind of how it would be my answer to that question. That's something I look at every single day, multiple times a day. And it's super important, and it's probably the biggest why that I have, that why we stay with Buildertrend.
I love it. I love the attitude. I love the growth mindset. That's the dream right there for us. That's what we try to communicate to our customers, is exactly what you just pitched. So if you ever look for a career change and want to come work with Zach and the customer success.
Sales and marketing background, builder in residence.
Let's go.
Close rate.
Yeah, you got your
off
desk
the charts.
already.
Yeah, it's just what's going to happen.
I can get you access to some data. You can work on the custom reporting stuff. It'll be you can span 4 or 5 different departments.
There we go.
We are running up on time, though, Chris. I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the episode of The Building Code. We'll definitely have to get back on here again, because unfortunately, Courtney's going to be mad at us. I think we scratched about half the questions on the script here.
Nice.
So just setting us up for next time, but really appreciate it. Great interview.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime. It was awesome to meet you, Charley, see you, Zach, and do it again sometime for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That's another episode of The Building Code. As I always like to ask you, Charley. You know what? No, I'm going to give my key takeaways first.
Well, let me say it. Well, that's another episode of The Building Code. Let me ask you, Zach, what'd you think?
Wow, that feels unnatural. We were talking, with another guest about like the right flow of things. That just felt a little.
Okay, well, are you going to tell them what you thought?
I did, yeah, of course. As I said in the intro, Chris, friend of Buildertrend, bringing the team up here. He knows our people. He had numerous people that he name dropped, kind of the legends of Buildertrend in the interview. Amazing company down in Manhattan, Kansas. Have you ever been to Manhattan?
I have not.
No, it's a fun little town, and he's obviously just building up in the community, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
I also think it's super unique. We need to have him back because I want to talk to him more about his end-to-end experience, and that's super unique for a contracting company to do. And so I have a ton of respect, and he really resonated with me. Anybody who knows me personally, when he was like, I like to be in control, and I was like, oh, I know what you mean.
Not you.
Yeah.
No.
So I just have a ton of respect to him as a business guy who, very entrepreneurial. We've talked about that time and time again. There's this kind of spirit of, being pioneers. And I love talking to Chris about just the business side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's funny, and I didn't want to. Our product team always gets mad at us when I spoil things that are coming down the pipeline.
We want to splash.
We want to splash, right? But when I was going through his Salesforce account, I'm like everything we're betaing right now, he's doing it. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Which I think is just the type of person he is, and the type of person I would love to be, and I think everyone should strive to be, of just kind of that growth mindset, constantly pushing boundaries. So yeah, great interview. I get why we're using them so much for marketing content and
all the above,
our whole company. So yeah, unless you got anything else, Zach, I think it's about time for us to get out of here and hit the long weekend.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it, buddy. And
I hope you enjoy it.
Everybody out there.
You want to hang out?
Yeah, dude.
Maybe we hang out sometime.
Just like outside. We just see each other's studio. A little inside. Like, we just kind of pass by like ships in the night, and then we show up in the studio, and it's like.
Yeah, let's hang out sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe not this weekend, but sometime.
Yeah.
All right. As always, I'm Charley Burtwhistle.
I'm Zach Witovich.
Make sure you like, review, and subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content brought to you by Buildertrend.